How's it going, beautiful people? What we're gonna go over today is the kettlebell squat. Okay, and this is a little bit similar to the goblet squat, working the legs, but you're gonna feel it more a little bit more on the lower back as opposed to the upper back. So on the goblet squat, you're holding the weight up front. On the kettlebell squat, you're holding it below. Okay, and I'll show you how to set it up and how to prepare for the movement. So a couple things: you want to make sure you have a kettlebell that you can properly squat with. Okay, and the setup for it is you want to have a wide stance for this. Because you need to push your hips back more, you're going to need to have a wide stance. The kettlebell placement is just as important as your legs. So let me show you. You always want to start with the kettlebell almost right below your hips. So many people start with the squat with the kettlebell too far forward, right, on their squat, and they're squatting with the weight here up front. You want the weight to be right between the middle sole of your foot. Okay, that's where the weight's going to start off with. You want a wide stance, about shoulder width, maybe a little bit wider than shoulder width, toes facing outward. You're going to focus on bending the knees in line with the toes, but you're also going to focus on pushing those hips back as if you're going to sit down on the toilet. Okay, it's okay if your chest comes down a little bit, that's absolutely fine. Biggest thing is push those hips back, knees in line with the toes, right? And the weight's right below your groin, basically. Okay, so weight's nice right in the center. Hands are touching my thighs. So hands touching my thighs, pushing those hips back, bending the knees. I'm grabbing the top of the weight and I'm pushing towards the ground with my heels towards the ground. Okay, so I slowly come down until the dumbbell touches the ground and then press up. So let me explain that one more time. I said dumbbell, I meant kettlebell. All right, so pushing those hips back, kettlebell touches the ground, pushing into the ground, bring those hips forward. Hips back, knees bent, dumbbell touches, almost like you're trying to explode on the way up. So I'll do it facing forward. My hands are touching my groin, basically, right? That sounded weird. My hands are touching my hips, feet out wide, toes facing outward, pushing those hips back and bending the knees. You want to make sure that you're bending the knees with the squat. If you only push your hips back, that's a deadlift, that's a hip hinge. You want to make sure that you bend the knees on the way down and push those hips back. Pushing the hips back is going to alleviate some of the stress on the lower back. So push those hips back, squat, bending the knees, squatting down, and then press those heels and toes into the ground. That's how you do the kettlebell squat.